What's up, my boomers? It's me, Melanie Mac, here on my social commentary channel, Melanie Mac Go Boom. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. So I'm going to be recording a couple videos, probably just two. Well, I have this one that I'm just putting out today, and then I'm probably going to pre-record a video for tomorrow, so I'll probably be wearing the same thing. But I just got to share, I'm going to be an aunt for the first time. I'm so excited. So my sister-in-law, she is about to be induced here in just a couple hours. So I'm just like hustling right now because I didn't want to totally leave you guys high and dry, but I would have if I had to, but I do have just this very tiny window to do this. So I am going to do that, which I'm just so freaking excited right now for my little nephew, Jakin, who is about to arrive. So anyway, a big huge thank you to everybody on Discord as well, because on my Discord server I have a segment where you guys can offer video suggestions, and this came in clutch because right now I don't have the time. This whole being induced thing was like a last minute thing, so I do not have the time right now to just be scouring the internet and trying to figure out topics. So having these suggestions for me to pull from in a pinch like this is a lifesaver. And today's video was suggested by, let me make sure I get credit where credit is due, Erdrick, thank you so much. So if you guys want to check out my Discord server where you can suggest video topics as well as a ton of other things, like I shared in my last video too, we also have a prayer request section and just general discussion, or if you just want to talk about just trending stuff going on in general, all kinds of stuff, check out that Linktree link I have in the description for that. So let me talk about today's video. Apparently the Resident Evil 4, their VR experience, they've cut some things, some sexist content, and this is the thing, is as fans of anything, when we have something remade or re-released, remastered, or whatever it may be, having censorship, things cut out, usually 9,999 times out of 10,000 is not a good thing. And that's a generous statistic. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this. It says some things just don't age that well. And while Resident Evil might seem a little outdated due to its pixelated graphics and clunky dialogue of Albert Wesker being one of the hammiest villains to ever grace the video game industry, dude, do not throw shade at Wesker's campy dialogue. We love it. It's not just Capcom's 1996 original that hasn't grown old gracefully. Despite being released nearly a decade later on the GameCube, Resident Evil 4 has been called out for some of its uncomfortable content and awkward relationship between Leon S. Kennedy and Ashley Graham. When it came to the VR release on the Oculus Quest 2, Armature Studios saw it as an opportunity to move with the times and fix the franchise's sometimes murky past. Has the weirdest censorship, and it makes Ashley look like she's pissed at Lewis for no reason. What is this? Oh, I don't have my headphones on right now. Hold on. Let's see what this is about, what they changed. Look. Okay. You know what? Her name's Ashley Graham, the president. Made her look like a rude, spoiled brat, lol. As if people need more reason to treat her like trash. Oh my gosh, yeah, because she already didn't have the best of reception in general. Alright. These days, Resident Evil is known for introducing colossal vampire women who'd stomp most men into the ground like Chris Redfield punching a boulder, While the shooter series has always included strong female characters like Jill, Claire, and Ada, the supporting cast members and general dialogue leaves a lot to be desired in some entries. Ahead of VR Port's release, a Facebook spokesperson explained how the new Resident Evil 4 includes select changes to in-game dialogue and animations that we believe will update Resident Evil 4 for a modern audience. Previously, there were creepy moments like Ashley asking Leon if he's available for some overtime and unsavory camera angles where you could look up her skirt. Despite Ashley officially being 20 in-game, it always felt like there was a much bigger age difference. Speaking to Eurogamer, Armature executive producer Tom Ivey explained how some aspects don't fit with the Resident Evil franchise these days. Ivey added the idea was that we're keeping every aspect of the rooms and the creatures that you fight in the story and how it progresses and the plot points of the story. But, just kind of saying it's the year 2022. Does this fit with the way Resident Evil should be presented in this day and age? That's the concept there. Yeah, let's, blood, gore, violence, murder. That's all fine. But, some camera angles, no. With Ashley, an adult woman. That's the thing, is Resident Evil in general never was that risky with the female characters for the most part. Maybe some of the alt outfits and stuff, but even then, not really. And in Resident Evil 4, I do not think that there was anything, from my recollection, now it's been a bit since I played it, but I seriously don't think that there's anything overly risky about how Ashley was portrayed or anything like that. I was trying to see if they were actually showing it, but no. Even though Resi purists will argue that Resident Evil 4 should have been left in its original form, Ivy stands by Armature's decision and says it was the right thing to do. Whether you agree or not, taking it out the odd line from Lewis commenting on Ashley's body is hardly going to affect the main story of the game. Also, should you really be complaining you can't look up a young woman's skirt anymore? Trying out the terrifying RE4 experience VR. You know what's so odd about this? Like, oh, it doesn't fit with modern times. Meanwhile, you've got games like Nier Automata that have the upskirt shots. That game is a modern-ish game. I don't like, I can live without panty shots in games or whatever, but I don't know. I don't like censorship, and I don't think Resident Evil 4 was over the top by any means in that kind of department, or even when you have like character dialogue or, like Lewis's comment on Ashley. It's like, okay, so when he made that kind of comment, that kind of like, it's part of his personality. People say stuff like that in real life all the time, and so having that kind of comment, even if it is a bit creepy, that's just part of his character. You know what I mean? It's not like every character has to be this perfect person. Let some characters say things that are cringe sometimes, bro. I don't know, it's stupid. All right, let me go ahead and read some recent comments. Okay, this was from last video. I forgot to close that out. All right. Tim says, I really don't know how to stick to carnivore. I have a mainly meat-based diet. I'm 6'2" at 195 pounds, and I've been hitting the gym 7 days a week. But having been carnivore once before, the gains you can get are insane on it. Exactly, and that's what's funny is people will try to tell you that you need carbs to get gains. You do not. You can get some insane gains on carnivore. Protein is where it's at. But the cravings getting into it are animalistic for me. It's definitely tough to curb the cravings at first. Dude, I've been carnivore for 2.5 years. I kind of fluctuate between carnivore and keto. I have keto days specifically because cravings, dude. I do partake in some keto sweets, like on the weekends usually. I usually keep pretty strict carnivore during the week. Now, it really depends on during my cycle and all that, because if I'm just hormonal, I'm really having cravings, I will go ahead and have more keto days and keto treats on those days. But I think it just depends on what your goals are. It depends on what the reason is you're doing it. The thing is being carnivore or on the carnivore diet, it's not a religion. It's not like veganism, you know what I mean? So there's no moral reason or virtue signaling purposes for it. It's about your health. And so everyone can tolerate different things differently. And I mean, if you're happy with where you're at and how you're doing, and you feel and your health is in a good place, then yeah, you're fine. Now, if you have some more specific health issues that you really want reversed, I find that a lot of people who do stay super, super, super strict, do, from what I've seen, benefit more. Some people, yeah, they would just, you have a different tolerance depending on it. But the thing is in terms of cravings and all that, now, if you're trying to get shredded, like right now, I'm working on, because overall, the way that my body is now, which I'm happy with, has been primarily carnivore diet, but adding in some keto treats a couple times or so throughout the week. And I've been able to maintain and build like 10 pounds of muscle and have a lean physique. But to get like shredded, like really shredded, which is what I'm going for the summer, then yeah, you do have to be more strict. And so right now I'm doing the beef only for 30 days, as I do a shred and a cut. 30 to 60 days is what I'm going to do. And after that, I'm sure I'll be able to maintain it while still having some keto days thrown in there. If I want like a keto sweet with some fake sugar and all that. So yeah, it just depends. You're going to have to find your healthy balance. But yeah. All right. Nightshade says, Melanie is the type who genuinely motivates you to become a better person. This is a massive compliment. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but thank you. That makes me so happy. All right. Bee's Knees says, didn't realize you were carnivore. Just started a month ago. And, to have been very satisfied with the results. My body actually reacts negatively when I reintroduce gluten or carb-heavy foods. You know, it's the same as because I've been carnivore for like 2.5 years. Carnivore with some keto mixed in. But mostly carnivore. Like I don't eat vegetables and haven't and for such a long time. Whenever I have my keto days, it's usually like a keto protein bar or a keto ice cream. You know, something, a treat. But I am like almost completely carnivore based. And so people told me before, oh, you're going to have trouble building muscle like that whenever I started going to the gym a little over a year ago. And so I tried to listen. I started adding rice to my foods. I didn't even add that many carbs, but I had some. And I started to see if that would help. And it did nothing but made me feel sluggish. It made my performance at the gym so much worse. So, yeah, I tried that for like, a month? And then I stopped. And getting back on strict carnivore or carnivore ketovore of sorts, helped me to build over 10 pounds of muscle, which is huge for me. And yeah, just continue to make strength gains. Because even though I'm small and skinny and all that kind of stuff, my strength for my size is actually a lot more than you imagine. Now, also, what I did want to mention, too, is that I just remembered from this comment about what helps curb cravings as well, is make sure you're not hungry, okay? So, if you're still having issues with cravings, it helps if you're not hungry. Because I know right now, with me sticking with beef only during this cut, dude, and I love my sweets, and I don't even have to have sugar. I am like the sugar-free stuff, the keto treats, that is plenty enough for me. I even make my own keto cheesecake. I'll use cream cheese, eggs, and then like some monk fruit sweetener and vanilla, and that's all I need. I don't have to have sugar. I'm totally happy without it. I think sugar is just overly too much usually. So usually like monk fruit or erythritol, something like that is great. But I do notice that now that I'm cutting all that and all that kind of stuff, just doing beef only for 30 to 60 days, what has helped me so far, make sure you're freaking eating enough. I'm eating 2 pounds of meat. Like, if I got 2 pounds of beef in my belly, it really helps with cravings. Now, I do drink G Fuel. Now, that helps too for me because, like the G Fuel hydrations, those are my go-tos. And yeah, I mean, that's sweet. Now, this does have artificial sweeteners in it. Some people are more strict than others. I allow myself that, and I freaking love it. And if you want to try it, use code MAC. They do sponsor me. All right. Dark Omen says, it's not like less animals are slaughtered to grow vegan food. It's just different animals than cows. Exactly. And that's the one flaw with veganism and trying to act all holy about it, is that, you know, there's still a bunch of animals that die in order to make vegan foods. And it's no less animals, as you said. In some cases, it's a lot more if you really break it down. So there is nothing virtuous about it. They're just not partaking in eating it. So they're sacrificing their health, but they're still killing animals to eat. So it makes no sense. Durkhan, I don't know how to pronounce it, says, the Turtles game adds April as a fighter. Is there any precedence for this before current era? Feels like they are bending a character to the current crap. That is possible. I do see your point, but I also have to add, though, is when I was a kid, playing like the TMNT games with my brothers, I did wish that April O'Neil was playable because she was my favorite. Even though, like, out of the Turtles, I liked Raphael, but I loved April O'Neil. When I was a kid, I remember the arcade, there was a picture of her, like, laying on her side, and she just looked, I was just like, she looked gorgeous to me. I was like, whoa, she is so beautiful. Like, I love her. She's so cool. And I did want to play as her, but she wasn't playable. Now, she was 1,000% would have played as her because I just thought April was the most gorgeous thing. And she was, but yeah, I loved her. So that's, you know, I'm a little biased. All right, JMS says, I greatly appreciate your Bible study segments. Thank you so much. Nostra says, still better than the New York dating scene. That was this. This had me dying. This comment had me dying. Because this was on that video about, the lizard. This had me laughing for multiple reasons. One, it's just funny. Two, it's so freaking applicable. I think this goes for the dating scene in general. I can make a whole video about this, but I feel like in general, people are so, and I don't even care. This isn't even about religious reasons. Like, if you're a Christian or not a Christian, I think a lot of us can agree that people used to take dating a lot more serious back in the day. Like, I'm 35 years old. If I would think of when I was dating in my mid-20s or early 20s even, like, back then, if you were on the dating scene, it was because you were looking for your partner. It wasn't, you never had to have the conversation of, so what are you looking for? Are you just looking for something casual or a hookup? Or are you looking for a real thing? It was a given. You just assume someone's asking you out on a date, they're looking for a relationship. That was so, I never once encountered anything otherwise when I was in my 20s, early to mid 20s. And now the dating scene is just chock full of people just looking for casual hookups all the time. And it's like, what the crap? That people are just using other people for their own gratification, and the dating scene isn't dating anymore. It's like a giant hookup culture fest. And I ain't about that life. I ain't trying to get no STDs. No, thank you. Also, like, I care about on the emotional side of things. I can't disconnect those things. And it's just like, the whole dating pool right now is crazy. But anyway, Elaine says, I'm getting back on the carnivore diet. I'd done it a couple years ago after struggling with obesity for almost 40 years. Without changing my regular workout at all, I lost 40 pounds, stopped snoring, eliminated my chronic bleeding gums when brushing my teeth, ended my restless limb syndrome, and got out of a depressive funk that I'd been in for years. Incredible changes. What surprised me the most, I didn't get hungry and I didn't get cravings. Yeah, for a lot of people, they don't even get cravings. And I think that the people who don't have cravings the most are the ones who just stay really strict on it and also are making sure you're eating enough. Then, it's a lot easier to curb those cravings. For years, it was the midnight munchies that sent me running to 7-Eleven for steam tray roller food. My life hit some rough patches a couple years later, financially and emotionally, and I got back into bad habits, but I'm back. I'm loving it and seeing fast results again. I got your back on this one, Melanie Mack. Go boom. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you've seen such great progress on this. Now, so many people want to knock the carnivore diet, but everybody I freaking know who's been on it for any length of time has benefited dramatically in their health, mental health, physical health, all this kind of stuff. Like I said in my other video, I mean, even Harvard did a study of 6 months and it's like over 90-something% of people saw full reversal in so many illnesses. And it's incredible, and it's a very natural way of eating. And it's crazy that people call a natural way of eating a fad diet when it's just, dude, just think about if you were a freaking caveman right now. If we didn't have all the luxuries we have and we were a caveman, what would we be doing? We'd be hunting food and eating it. We wouldn't be, that would be the primary food source. So, yeah, I think it's amazing. Also, you did mention some emotional and financial struggles, and that's what got you in bad habits. And that's the thing I find is whenever I do, speaking of cravings and stuff, whenever I do have cravings and I kind of like fall off the wagon a little bit, it is because of emotional eating. Because whenever I'm good, everything's good in life, and I'm like mentally in a good place, then I have no problem sticking with it. I've done pretty much just beef and eggs. That's my go-to. So most days is just beef and eggs, and I have no issues with that. I don't have to have sweets. I don't have to have keto treats, all that. I'm great in those situations. But just whenever I'm feeling emotional, if I'm stressed, that's when I want to turn to food, and that's when it gets a little more difficult. But all things considered, like I do stay very, very highly on track. But yeah, I get what you're saying. All right, let me go ahead and go into today's verse of the day. I wanted to pick 1 Corinthians 14:33. It says, "For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace." And speaking of like emotional stuff, I find this in so many things in life. And you ever like really want something so bad, and then everything just feels like no matter what, it's just not going smoothly. In those cases, I think a lot of times it is because it wasn't meant for you, whether it be a move, a job, a relationship, anything like that. If you feel like it is just the most complicated and confusing situation, you're constantly having to second guess a lot of things. Now, obviously, anxiety will play a role in some degree, and you kind of have to figure out, hey, is this myself with anxiety, or is this legit? You know what I mean? Like, is this legit just not going smoothly? Is this legit like, hey, this was not meant to be a part of my life? You know, that's a thing. And I've seen, it's funny because I stumbled on a TikTok video about it where someone was saying where they were dating somebody that wasn't good for them, and even their body reacted negatively. It's like they started getting breakouts. They started getting intense anxiety around the person, and they just physically felt off. And I believe it because I've been there, and it's crazy. It's like, what the crap, man? And it doesn't even matter if you think you like that person and all that kind of stuff, but you're still getting physical negative effects. This has happened to me on more than one occasion when first starting dating somebody too. it would be like, oh wow, okay, he seems really great. And you know what, maybe in many cases he was. More, not many, I mean, dated a whole lot, but in some cases that's happened. It doesn't mean that he was a bad person. It just means that there was just, I feel like there's frequencies. I feel like God made energy, God made frequency, and just like magnets, there are some that repel. Even if it can be a person that just seems very appealing, is very great, and you can like that person, they can be a good person, but it doesn't mean they're for you. And I've had that happen where it's just like my skin will break out, I'll get very anxious, all that, and it's like, what's going on? and so I think that and constantly second guessing things, constantly just having anxiety, and just thinking about, oh, what do they mean when they said this? What, all that kind of stuff. And so I think that ultimately, when things are meant to be a part of your life, and the Bible does talk often about just like not worrying about stuff, and just relax, man. Relax and let everything fall into place, because everything does. Now, we still have to take efforts on things in our lives, and we still have to put in effort, and not everything is going to be easy. And especially when I talk about a relationship or something like that, or dating somebody, that's always going to take effort on both parties' part. So I don't want to imply that everything has to be super easy all the time and perfect, because that's not how it goes. Like, anything will take work, but there's a difference between something taking work and natural obstacles versus just insane amount of confusion and things just not working, no matter what you try, no matter how much you want it to. There's a big difference. And so I think that it's just important to keep in mind. And for me, whenever I see anything in my life that is something I think I want, but it's just no matter what, no matter how great it sounds, it's just not clicking, and it's not going smoothly, and everything that can go wrong is going wrong, essentially, where it feels like that, or where I'm uneasy, where I can't even be relaxed and comfortable, and I always feel this uneasiness or this energy. Like the people will say like negative vibrations and all that kind of stuff, but I do think the energies are like a real thing. That's part of how we're created. When you feel like that wavelength, that disturbance in your wavelength and in your frequencies, if you will, then yeah, that's like, okay, well, maybe this is not a part of what is meant for me. And so yeah, that's talking about churches and stuff like that, but in general too, like, if God has something for you, you're not gonna be confused. You're not gonna be super confused about it. That's my take. I'd be curious, and like I said, there are always going to be some sort of exceptions with anxiety, because I mean, anxiety will have you second guessing things all the time, if you do have an issue with anxiety. But there's a difference between that regular amount of anxiety you normally have about life versus a new onset anxiety. And one thing that I realized in my life is I used to think that there were times where I thought I had anxiety, but it was just outside things that gave me anxiety, that gave me an overwhelming sense of anxiety. When I kept those outside things in my life, I always had anxiety. And then when I walked away from those things, then suddenly I don't have anxiety in my day-to-day life anymore. Well, I think for so many people, and I know even for myself there, it's like, well, maybe that crippling anxiety you're dealing with isn't necessarily wrong with you. Maybe it's something in your life that's causing that anxiety, specifically. So it really depends, it really depends on the person and if there are outside stimuluses. So anyway, there you have it for today's video. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I'm so excited about to be an aunt. That's all I can think about. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. And in the meantime, go boom.